Japan is a land rich in ancient traditions and folklore, but hidden within its quiet streets, dark forests, and forgotten stations are stories too chilling to forget. Tonight, we'll step into the shadows and uncover 10 terrifying Japanese urban legends. Legends that blur the line between myth and reality, and may still linger in the dark corners of Japan today. So, turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and let us begin. 1. Kuchisake-Onna, the Slit-Mouthed Woman. They say she walks the empty alleys at night, a woman in a surgical mask, her long black hair hiding most of her face. At first glance, she looks ordinary until she approaches. Her voice is low and unsettling as she asks, "Am I beautiful?" This is the tale of Kuchisake-Onna, the Slit-Mouthed Woman, one of Japan's most terrifying urban legends. The story dates back centuries, with whispers of a beautiful but vain woman, the wife of a samurai. When he discovered she was cheating on him, he flew into a jealous rage. He took his sword and sliced her mouth open from ear to ear, screaming, "Who will think you're beautiful now?" Cursed to walk the earth forever, her vengeful spirit now roams the streets, hiding her grotesque wound behind a mask. She preys on the unsuspecting, often children walking home alone, but no one is truly safe. If you encounter her, you're forced into a deadly game. She will block your path and ask that fateful question, "Am I beautiful?" If you say no, she ends you instantly with a pair of long, rusted scissors she carries, a swift and brutal end. If you say yes, thinking you've appeased her, you've made a fatal mistake. She pulls down her mask to reveal her mouth split open in a bloody, permanent grin. She asks again, "Am I beautiful now?" If you scream or say no, you're cut in half. If you manage to say yes again, she follows you home and slaughters you on your own doorstep. Your fate seems sealed, but rumors tell of a way to survive. Some say the only escape is to confuse her answer with something strange, like your average or so-so. This gives you just enough time to run. Others claim you can distract her by throwing money or hard candy at her feet, which she stopped to pick up. Whatever the method, you must not look back. So, if you ever feel someone following you in a dark Japanese street, and you hear a soft voice ask if she's beautiful, pray it's not her. 2. Tick-Tick, the Crawling Ghost. In the city of Sapporo, the story of Tick-Tick chills the bones. She was once a young schoolgirl who fell onto train tracks and was cut in half by an oncoming train. Now, her ghost wanders as only an upper body, elbows, carrying a rusted scythe. Her name comes from the sound she makes as she crawls. Tick, 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 tick. This chilling sound is the only warning you'll ever get. It echoes through lonely train stations, underpasses, and darkened school corridors late at night. Some stories say her real name was Kashima Reiko, a woman who suffered a brutal assault before being left for dead on the railway. Others whisper she was a shy, often bullied girl named Asuka, whose tragic end was a cruel prank gone horribly wrong. Regardless of her origins, her fate remains the same. A spirit severed from her lower half, consumed by an unending, vengeful rage. Imagine walking home alone, the air still and heavy. Suddenly, a strange scratching sound drifts from the shadows behind you. Tick, tick it. You might dismiss it as a stray animal or the wind rattling through a fence, but the sound grows louder, closer, faster. You turn, and your blood runs cold. There she is, a horrifying torso perched on her hands and elbows, her hair matted with grime and blood, her eyes burning with an otherworldly hatred. Her fingernails, or what's left of them, are broken and torn, scraping against the pavement as she moves with impossible speed. Don't bother trying to run. Her spectral form defies the laws of physics, easily outpacing any living person. Stories from survivors are rare, but they all share one terrifying detail. She asks a question. Where are my legs? If you answer incorrectly or fail to answer at all, her scythe swings. She is not just a ghost. She is a curse, a hunter in the dark. To see her is to be marked for the same gruesome destiny. They say if you hear this sound behind you, it's already too late. She races toward her victims with unnatural speed, slicing them in half, forcing them to share her eternal suffering. Her curse spreads, creating more vengeful spirits just like her. So, the next time you find yourself alone on a deserted street, listen carefully to the silence. Pray you don't hear the rhythmic scraping that signals her approach, because the sound of tick-tick is the last sound you will ever hear. 3. aka Manto, the Red Cloak. In Japanese schools, students whisper about a spirit that lurks in the restrooms. A faceless figure in a flowing red cloak. They call him aka Manto. He waits in the last stall of the girls' bathroom, a place often filled with an unnatural silence. He's patient, biding his time until a lone student enters, thinking they are completely alone. As the quiet settles, a disembodied voice will echo from the sealed stall, a voice that sounds both near and impossibly far away. It will ask a simple question: do you want red paper or blue paper? This is no ordinary choice. It's a trap with no escape, a game where every move leads to a grim end. If you choose red, a wicked grin you cannot see will spread across his face. Suddenly, the stall door will burst open, and he will descend upon you. A flash of steel, and he slashes you again and again, until your clothes and the cold tile floor are drenched in your own crimson blood. Your last sight is his red cloak, now indistinguishable from the scene of horror he has created. But what if you choose blue? Perhaps you think it's the safer option, a calmer color, a path to survival. You would be wrong. If you utter the word blue, the air will grow heavy, and an unseen force will wrap itself around your neck. His ghostly hands will tighten their grip, squeezing the life from you, cutting off your breath. You'll gasp and struggle, but it's useless. He will continue to strangle you until your face turns a ghastly shade of blue, your body slumping lifelessly to the ground. Some say there are other choices, other desperate attempts to outsmart the spirit. Asking for a different color, like yellow, will only lead him to drag you down into the underworld, a fate perhaps worse than death. The legend whispers of only one way to survive the encounter. It requires immense willpower, a refusal to play his wicked game. So the next time you're alone in a bathroom and you hear a voice whispering from the stall behind you, don't answer. For Hashaku-sama, the 8-foot-tall woman. She is called Hashaku-sama, 8-foot-tall woman who roams the rice fields at dusk. Dressed in a long white dress, her wide-brimmed hat hides her face, and her eerie voice calls out, "Po, Po, She lures children away, never to be seen again. Those who hear her voice are marked, cursed to be taken within days. The story often begins with a young boy visiting his grandparents in a remote Japanese village. While playing in the yard, he hears a strange, rhythmic sound, almost like a machine, but deeper, more organic. Po, 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 po. He looks around, but sees nothing. Curious, he mentions it to his grandfather, whose face instantly drains of all color. He is told, under no circumstances, to go outside. His grandparents rush to seal the house. Every window is covered with newspaper, every crack filled with sacred charms and salt. The boy is hidden in a small room, given a bucket for a toilet, and warned not to open the door until sunrise, no matter what he hears. As night falls, the tapping starts. A soft, persistent tap, 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 tap on the window pane. Then the grandfather's voice calls out, asking if he's scared and telling him it's okay to open the door. But the boy remembers the warning. He knows it's not his grandfather. The voice outside begins to shift, distorting into that strange, deep call from the fields. Po, po, po. It gets louder, closer, right outside his window, a monstrous, booming sound that echoes in his chest. He clamps his hands over his ears, squeezed into the corner of the room, praying for the sun to rise. The hours crawl by, each second an eternity filled with the horrifying sound and the relentless tapping. When morning finally breaks, the house is silent. His grandfather, pale and exhausted, opens the door. He is safe for now, but the curse is not so easily broken. The family knows he must leave the village immediately and never return. They perform a desperate ritual, placing him in a van with blacked-out windows, surrounded by relatives to form a human shield. He is told to keep his eyes shut, no matter what. As they drive away, he hears it one last time, a faint tapping on the van's window and a distant, mocking call. Po, 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 po. Families have tried rituals to protect their children, but once Hashaku-sama sets her eyes on you, there is no escape. Imagine standing in a quiet countryside field, hearing that strange, soft call, knowing she is already behind you. 5. Kisaragi Station. In 2004, a young woman named Hasumi posted online about being trapped on a train that refused to stop. When it finally did, she stepped out into a station she had never heard of, Kisaragi Station. This is where the story begins, born from a series of anonymous posts on the Japanese internet forum 2chan. It started as a simple, almost mundane observation. Hasumi noted her train, which she took every day, was acting strange. It hadn't stopped at its usual stations for 20 minutes. The few other passengers on board were all asleep, an unsettling detail she shared with the forum users who were now following her journey in real time. Anxious, she asked them for advice. Should she get off? Should she stay on? The train sped through unfamiliar tunnels, the world outside a blur of dark countryside. Then, just after midnight, it slowed to a halt. The doors hissed open to an empty platform. The sign read, Kisaragi Station. The forum users frantically searched, but no such station existed anywhere in Japan. Against the advice of many, Hasumi disembarked. The platforms were eerily silent, devoid of any staff or timetables. The signs looked old, their lettering unfamiliar. Darkness stretched beyond the tracks, swallowing the landscape whole. She tried to call her parents, but there was no signal. A nearby payphone was useless. The last train had long since departed, its schedule a ghost on the wall. She was completely, utterly alone, or so she thought. She began to hear something. The distant, rhythmic beat of a drum accompanied by the faint ringing of a bell. The sounds grew closer, more insistent. Panicked, she started walking along the tracks, hoping to find a sign of civilization. The forum users begged her to turn back to find safety, but Hasumi was driven by fear. She kept posting updates, describing footsteps behind her, strange voices in the shadows. A voice called out from the darkness behind her. "Hey, don't walk on the tracks. It's dangerous." A man appeared, offering her a ride. The forum was divided. Was this salvation or a trap? Disparity. Hasumi accepted. In her car, the man grew silent, driving deeper into the mountains. Her messages became more frantic, more terrified. Her last message read, he started talking to himself. "I have to go." No one ever heard from her again, and to this day, no map in Japan shows a place called Kisaragi Station. 6. The Inunaki Village. In Fukuoka Prefecture, deep in the mountains, there is said to be a hidden village called Inunaki, a place where outsiders are never welcome. Legends claim signs warn travelers. The Constitution of Japan does not apply here. This isolated hamlet, shrouded in mist and mystery, is rumored to exist just beyond the old Inunaki Tunnel, a place already infamous for its own dark history. The story goes that the villagers of Inunaki live in a state of complete isolation, rejecting all modern technology and societal norms. They are said to have practiced incest and cannibalism for generations, leading to a community that is both physically and mentally warped. The very air around the supposed location is thick with an unnerving silence, broken only by the rustling of leaves, and the distant, unsettling howl of a dog, the Inunaki, which means dog's cry. This sound is said to be a warning, a spectral guardian of the village's borders. Those who have tried to find Inunaki tell chilling tales. They speak of abandoned cars near the tunnel's entrance, their interiors covered in dust and decay, as if their owners vanished into thin air. Electronic devices fail without reason. Compasses spin wildly, and GPS signals disappear, leaving explorers utterly lost. Whispers seem to follow them, disembodied voices carried on the wind, speaking in an unknown dialect, urging them to leave. Some have reported seeing fleeting humanoid shapes moving between the trees, their eyes glowing faintly in the dark. One of the most terrifying accounts comes from a young couple who supposedly found the village in the early 1970s. After passing through the tunnel, they found a crude, hand-painted sign confirming they had entered Inunaki. The village was dilapidated, the houses seemingly abandoned, but as they tried to leave, a crazed villager emerged, wielding a sickle and screaming, "You will never leave." The couple barely escaped, but their story cemented the legend in the public consciousness. Was it a real village, a mass hallucination, or something far more sinister? Report hearing whispers in the forest, urging them to turn back. They feel an overwhelming sense of being watched, a profound dread that settles deep in their bones. The old tunnel is now sealed with concrete blocks, but the legend persists. Some say it wasn't to stop people from going in, but to stop whatever is in Inunaki from getting out. 7. Funayūrei, the ghosts of the sea. The oceans around Japan are haunted by the Funayūrei, the spirits of those who drowned at sea. They are the vengeful ghosts of sailors lost to the waves, forever bound to the place of their demise. For centuries, fishermen have whispered tales of their eerie encounters, stories passed down from one generation to the next as a grim warning. These are not peaceful spirits. They are consumed by a bitter resentment for the living, a jealousy of those who still draw breath and sail the waters that claim them. They often appear during storms or on dark, misty nights when the line between the living world and the spirit realm is thinnest. Sailors claim that during storms, pale hands rise from the waves, followed by ghostly figures in white. Sometimes they are described as pale women in white kimonos, their hair long and tangled with seaweed, their eyes empty voids. Other times, they are a ghastly crew, manning a spectral ship that glows with an unnatural, phosphorescent light, sailing silently toward you. The Funayūrei's intent is simple and malevolent, to drag more souls down to join their watery grave. Their most infamous method involves a seemingly innocent request. They will ask for a Hishaku, a traditional ladle. If you refuse, they will grow enraged and capsize your boat with their spectral strength. But if you agree, they will use the ladle to relentlessly scoop seawater into your vessel, filling it until it inevitably sinks beneath the waves, dragging you down with it into the cold, dark depths. To survive such an encounter, ancient wisdom offers a sliver of hope. Experienced fishermen would carry special ladles with no bottoms, a clever trick to foil the spirits. Handing over such a ladle would allow the Funayūrei to go through the motions of scooping, but the water would simply pass through, rendering their efforts futile and perhaps confusing them long enough for a sailor to escape. Some tales even speak of throwing rice balls into the water as an offering to appease the hungry ghosts and distract them from their sinister purpose. But if you are out on the open water and you see a lone figure standing on the surface of the sea, staring silently at your boat, pray that they do not call out to you. 8. Noppera-bō, the Faceless Ghost. Late at night, on lonely roads or near rivers, travelers sometimes meet an ordinary person. But as they approach, the face fades away, until there are no eyes, no nose, no mouth, just smooth, pale skin. These faceless ghosts, called Noppera-bō, enjoy terrifying their victims before vanishing. This isn't a monster that wants to harm you, not in the physical sense. The Noppera-bō is a trickster, a prankster from the spirit world whose greatest joy comes from pure, unadulterated fear. They are masters of psychological terror, appearing first as someone familiar, a friend, a family member, or perhaps just a harmless stranger. They might be weeping by the side of a bridge or humming a tune on an empty street. You feel compelled to check on them, to offer help. As you get closer, they turn to you, and that's when the illusion shatters. The features you thought you saw melt away like wax, leaving a horrifying blank canvas. One of the most famous tales involves a lazy fisherman who decided to fish in the imperial koi ponds. A beautiful woman appeared, warning him to stop. He ignored her, but when he finally turned to speak, she wiped her face clean. He ran, terrified, all the way home to his wife. He burst through the door, trying to explain the terrifying sight he'd just witnessed. His story. His wife, her back still turned to him, asked, "Oh, you mean ... like this?" She turned, and her face, too, was a smooth, empty oval of skin. This reveals their true nature. They are often shapeshifters like Kitsune or Mujina who take pleasure in a well-executed scare. They orchestrate their encounters, building the tension until the final, terrifying reveal. The horror of the Noppera-bō isn't in what they do, but in what they lack. The human face is our primary tool for connection and understanding. We read emotions, intent, and identity in the eyes, the mouth, the curve of a cheek. To see that erased is to confront something fundamentally inhuman, an unnerving void where a person should be. They don't need claws or fangs. Their very existence is the threat. The silence that follows their appearance is often more chilling than any scream. They simply show you their nothingness, letting your own mind fill in the terror. Imagine walking down a quiet road at night, only to realize the stranger smiling at you has no face at all. 9. Okiku's, the Banshee of Himeji. At Himeji Castle, there is a haunted well known as Okiku's Well. The story tells of a servant girl named Okiku, falsely accused of breaking her master's precious plates. Her tale is one of the most famous ghost stories in all of Japan, a chilling account of betrayal and an eternal, restless spirit. Okiku was a beautiful servant in the service of a high-ranking samurai named Aoyama. Aoyama desired her, but she repeatedly rejected his advances. Frustrated and cruel, he devised a wicked plan to force her into submission. The samurai family owned a priceless set of 10 Delft plates, a rare and treasured gift. Aoyama hid one of the plates and then demanded that Okiku bring them to him. When she presented the set, he flew into a rage, accusing her of stealing the 10th plate. The terrified girl counted them again, her hands trembling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 10th was missing. She frantically searched the castle, but it was nowhere to be found. Aoyama gave her an ultimatum: become his mistress, or face a torturous death for her supposed crime. Still, Okiku refused. Enraged by her defiance, Aoyama had his men torture her. Finally, he struck her down with his sword and had her broken body thrown into the castle. She was thrown into the well and left to die, but her spirit never left. At night, she climbs from the well, a ghostly figure draped in white, her form wavering in the moonlight. Her voice, filled with sorrow, drifts on the wind, counting the plates in a soft whisper. 1, 2, 3, until she reaches 9. Then, realizing the 10th is forever gone, she lets out a bone-chilling scream, a wail of despair and anguish that echoes through the castle grounds. Some versions of the story say her spirit seeks vengeance, while others claim she is locked in an eternal loop of her final moments, forever searching for the lost plate. Visitors claim to hear her voice even today, a faint count carried on the night air. The well stands as a stark reminder of her tragic end, a place where the veil between worlds feels thin. And if you ever stand by that well at night, you may hear her counting, slowly, until the final scream. 10. Hitori Kakurenbo, the game of hide-and-seek. This modern urban legend warns of a deadly game Hitori Kakurenbo, or one-man hide-and-seek. It's a ritual that promises to connect you with the spirit world, but at a terrifying cost. To play, you need a doll, preferably one with limbs. You'll cut it open, remove its stuffing, and replace it with rice and a piece of yourself, your own fingernail clippings. This creates a direct, personal link between you and the doll. Then you sew it shut with crimson thread, which symbolizes a blood vessel, binding the spirit to its new body. At precisely 3 a.m., the time when the veil between worlds is thinnest, the game begins. You take the doll to a bathroom, fill a tub with water, and submerge it. You then declare, "I am the first it," before returning to your designated hiding spot. After counting to 10 with your eyes closed, you must go back to the bathroom, find a doll, and stab it with a sharp object, like a knife or scissors. As you do, you must chant, "I have found you, doll's name. Now you are it." Now, the true horror unfolds. You place the weapon beside the doll, take a mouthful of salt water for protection, and run to hide. The doll, now possessed by a wandering spirit, comes alive. It will leave the bathroom and begin its search for you. The game has truly started, and you are no longer the seeker. You are the prey. Players have reported hearing disembodied footsteps creeping through their homes, the sound of the TV changing channels on its own, and objects being thrown across rooms. Some even claim to have seen the doll, a shadow moving in the corner of their eye, or felt its cold presence right outside their hiding spot. To end the game, you must find the doll, pour the remaining salt water from your mouth over it, and then spit the rest directly onto it. You must then declare, "I win," 3 times. This act is supposed to purify the doll and banish the spirit. Finally, you must burn the doll to sever the connection completely. If you fail to end the game properly, or if the spirit finds you first, the consequences are dire. The doll's spirit could linger in your home forever, tormenting you. It is said those who try the ritual often suffer strange accidents or disappear altogether. So if you ever hear scratching outside your hiding place, don't open the door. Japan's urban legends are more than just ghost stories. They are warnings passed down through generations, whispers in the dark, meant to keep us safe. But whether they are true or not, one thing is certain. Every legend began with someone who swore they saw something they couldn't explain. So, the next time you find yourself walking alone at night, or passing through a quiet station, or hearing a whisper in an empty room, remember these stories and ask yourself, was it just your imagination, or did you just step into a legend?